Odyssey, Book 11, The Dead, Tiresias's Prophecy, Anticlea, the heroines, Agamemnon, Achilles, Ajax. And when we had come down to the ship and the sea, first of all we hauled the ship down to the bright salt water, and set the mast and the sails in the black ship, and took the sheep and put them aboard, and ourselves went aboard grieving, letting the big tears fall. And for us, behind the dark blue proud ship, a following wind that filled the sail, a good companion, was sent by Circe of the lovely braids, dread goddess with a mortal's voice. So when we had seen to the tackle through the ship, we sat, and the wind and the steersman held her on course. All day long her sail was stretched as she crossed the water, and the sun went down, and all the ways grew dark. She came to the limits of deep-flowing ocean. There is the land and city of the Cimmerian men, shrouded in mist and cloud. Never does the shining sun look down on them with his rays, not when he climbs toward the starry heaven, when he turns back from heaven to earth, but deadly night is stretched over wretched mortals. Coming there we beached the ship, and took out the sheep, and walked along the stream of ocean, until we came to the place that Circe had appointed. There Paramedes and Eurylochus held the victims, and I drew the sharp sword from beside my thigh, and dug a pit about a cubit's measure this way and that, and around it I poured a drink offering to all the dead, first with milk and honey mingled, then with sweet wine, the third time with water, and I sprinkled white barley over it, and I entreated over and over the strengthless heads of the dead, vowing that come to Ithaca I would offer in my halls a barren heifer, my best, and heap the pyre with good things, and to Tiresias apart, alone, I would sacrifice a ram all black, the one that stands out from all our flocks. And when with vows and prayers I had entreated them, the tribes of the dead, I took the sheep and cut their throats over the pit, and the dark clouded blood ran. And they gathered, the souls of the dead who are gone, up out of Erebus, brides and unwed youths, and old men worn by long suffering, and tender girls with the fresh grief on their hearts, and many men gashed by the bronze-tipped spears, men killed in war, in armor caked with their blood. In crowds from every side they came flocking about the pit, with a sound that had no earthly likeness, and the pale terror took me. Then I roused my companions, and commanded them to flay the sheep that lay there slaughtered by the pitiless bronze, and burn them, and pray to the gods, to mighty Hades and dread Persephone, and I myself, drawing the sharp sword from beside my thigh, sat there, and would not let the strengthless heads of the dead come near the blood before I had questioned Tiresias. First came the soul of my companion Elpenor, for he was not yet buried under the wide-wayed earth. We had left his body behind in Circe's hall, unwept and unburied, since another task was driving us. I wept to see him, and my heart pitied him, and lifting my voice, I spoke winged words to him. Elpenor, how did you come here, under the misty dark? You have outstripped me, on foot, and I in my black ship. So I spoke, and he groaned aloud, and answered, Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices, the evil doom of a god blinded me, that, in wine past measure, lying down to sleep in Circe's hall, I never thought to come back down again by the long ladder. I fell headlong from the roof, and my neck snapped from the spine, and my soul came down to Hades. Now I beg you, by those left behind, those not here beside us, by your wife, by your father, who reared you when you were small, by Telemachus, whom you left an only child in your halls. For I know that when you go from here, from the house of Hades, you will put in again with your well-made ship at the island of Aea. There, my lord, I charge you, remember me. Do not go on and leave me behind you unwept, unburied, turning away, lest I become a cause of God's wrath against you. But burn me with all the armor that is mine, and heap me a mound on the shore of the grey salt sea, an unlucky man's marker, for men to come to learn of. Accomplish this for me, and fix upon the mound the oar I rode with when I lived, when I was among my companions. So he spoke, and I answered him, and said, All this, poor luckless man, I will accomplish and do. So the two of us sat trading grim words, I on one side holding my sword over the blood, and across from me the phantom of my companion, talking on. Then came the soul of my dead mother, Anticlea, daughter of great-hearted Autolycus, whom I had left alive when I went to holy Ilium. I wept to see her, and my heart pitied her, but even so, for all my thick grief, I would not let her come near the blood before I had questioned Tiresias. Then came the soul of Theban Tiresias, holding a golden scepter, and he knew me and spoke. Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices. What now, unlucky man? Why have you left the light of the sun and come to see the dead, and this place without joy? Draw back from the pit, hold off your sharp sword so that I may drink of the blood, and tell you the unerring truth. So he spoke, and I stepped back, and drove the silver-studded sword home in its sheath. And when he had drunk the dark blood, then at last the blameless seer addressed me. It is honey-sweet homecoming you seek, shining Odysseus, and a god will make it grim for you. For I do not think the shaker of earth will fail to see you. The grudge is set in his heart, raging because you blinded his dear son. Yet even so, though you suffer evils, you may still come home, if you are willing to hold hard your own heart and your companions. From the hour when you first bring your well-made ship into the island Thrinacia, escaping the violet sea, and find at pasture there the cattle and the strong flocks of Helios, who sees all things and hears all things. If you leave them unharmed, and keep your mind on homecoming, then you may yet reach Ithaca, though you suffer evils. But if you harm them, then I foretell destruction for ship and companions, and even if you yourself escape, late you will come, and in evil case, all companions lost on another man's ship, and you will find trouble in your house, overweening men who eat away your living, courting your godlike wife and offering bride gifts. Yet truly, you will come and repay their violence. And when you have killed the suitors in your halls, whether by guile or in the open, with the sharp bronze, then go on a journey, taking a well-shaped oar, until you come to men who know nothing of the sea, men who eat no food that is mixed with salt, who know nothing of red-cheeked ships, nothing of well-shaped oars, which are wings for ships. And I will tell you a sign, unmistakable, it will not escape you. When another traveler meeting you on the road says you carry a winnowing fan on your shining shoulder, then and there fix the well-shaped oar in the earth, and offer fine victims to the Lord Poseidon, a ram, a bull, and a boar that has mounted sows, and turn away home, and offer holy hecatombs to the deathless gods who hold wide heaven, to all of them, each in order. And death will come to you from the sea, so gentle a death, and take you worn down under sleek old age, and around you the peoples will be prosperous. This I tell you is unerring truth. So he spoke, and I answered him and said, Tiresias, all that no doubt the gods themselves have spun. But come, tell me this, and tell it to me truly. I see here the soul of my dead mother. She sits in silence near the blood, and cannot bring herself to look her own son in the face. Tell me, Lord, how may she know me for the man I am? So I spoke, and he answered me at once. An easy word I will tell you, and set it in your mind. Whomever of the dead who are gone you allow to come near the blood, that one will speak you truth. Whomever you begrudge it, that one will draw back and go. So speaking, the soul of the Lord Tiresias went back into the house of Hades, when he had told out the decrees of fate. But I stayed rooted where I was until my mother came and drank the dark-clouded blood, and at once she knew me, and wailing she spoke winged words to me. My child, how did you come here, under the misty dark, alive? Hard it is for the living to look on all this, for between like great rivers and terrible waters, ocean first of all, which there is no crossing on foot, never, unless a man has a well-made ship. Are you only now come wandering here from Troy, after all this time, with ship and companions? Have you not yet been to Ithaca, not seen your wife in your own halls? So she spoke, and I answered her and said, Mother, need brought me down to Hades, to consult the soul of Theban Tiresias, for not yet have I come near Achaea, not yet set foot on our own land. I have wandered without pause, in misery, since the day I first followed noble Agamemnon toward Ilium of the fine horses, to fight the Trojans. But come, tell me this, and tell it to me truly. What doom of death that lays men low mastered you? A long illness? Or did Artemis the arrow-pourer come with her gentle arrows and kill you? And tell me of my father, and the son I left behind. Does my honor still rest safe with them, or does some other man hold it now? Do they say I will come home no more? And tell me the mind and purpose of my wedded wife. Does she stay by the boy, and keep all things safe? Or has the best man of the Achaeans married her already? So I spoke, and at once my honored mother answered, Oh yes, she stays and more. With an enduring heart she is there in your halls, and always in misery her nights waste away, and her days in tears. Your fine honor no man holds yet. At his ease Telemachus farms the estates unchallenged, and feasts at the equal banquets it is fitting a law-giving man should tend, for all men issue him the summons. But your father stays out there on the farm and never comes down to the city. Bedding he has none, no bedstead, no cloaks, no shining blankets. Through the winter he sleeps where the slaves do, in the house, in the ashes by the fire, and puts poor clothing on his skin. But when summer comes and the heavy autumn, then anywhere along the rise of his vineyard plot, a bed of fallen leaves is thrown on the ground for him, and there he lies grieving, and the sorrow grows great in his heart, aching for your homecoming. And hard old age comes on him. And so it was with me. So I too died and met my doom. Not in the halls did the keen-eyed arrow-pourer come with her gentle arrows and kill me. No illness fell upon me, of the kind that most often draws the life from the limbs in hateful wasting. No, it was longing for you, your counsels, shining Odysseus, your gentle-heartedness that robbed me of honey-sweet life. So she spoke, and I, my mind stirred, longed to take the soul of my dead mother in my arms. 3 times I started toward her, and my heart bade me hold her. 3 times, out of my hands, like a shadow or a dream, she flew, and the grief grew sharper in my heart each time, and lifting my voice I spoke winged words to her. Mother, why will you not stay for me, when I long to hold you, so that even here in Hades, throwing our arms around each other, the 2 of us might take our fill of icy mourning? Or is this a phantom queenly Persephone has sent me, so that I may weep and groan the more? So I spoke, and at once my honored mother answered, Ah me, my child, luckless beyond all mortal men, in no way does Persephone, the daughter of Zeus, deceive you. This is the settled way of mortals, when one dies. The sinews no longer hold the flesh and bones together. All that, the strong fury of the blazing fire breaks down, as soon as the life has left the white bones, and the soul flits away like a dream, and hovers. But press on toward the light, as fast as you can, and mark all these things, to tell them to your wife hereafter. So the 2 of us traded words, and then the women came, for queenly Persephone sent them on, all who had been the wives and daughters of the great. They came flocking in crowds around the dark blood, and I considered how I might question each in turn. And this, as I turned it over, seemed to me the best plan. Drawing the long-edged sword from beside my thick thigh, I would not let them drink the dark blood altogether. So they came up, one by one, in file, and each declared her lineage, and I questioned them all. There the first I saw was Tyro, born of a noble father, who said she was the child of blameless Salmoneus, and called herself the wife of Cretheus, Aeolus's son. She fell in love with a river, divine Enopeus, far the most beautiful of rivers flowing on the earth, and she would haunt Enopeus's beautiful streams. And the earth-holder, the shaker of earth, took the river's likeness and lay beside her at the mouths of the eddying water, and a dark gleaming wave stood up around them, mountain high, arched over, and hid the god and the mortal woman. He loosed the girdle of her maidenhood, and poured sleep over her, and when the god had finished the works of love, he clamped a hand on hers, and spoke a word, and named her, Rejoice in this love, woman. As the year turns round you will bear glorious children, for the beds of the immortals are not fruitless. Tend them, and rear them. Now go home, and hold your peace, and name no name, but know it, I am Poseidon, shaker of the earth. So speaking he plunged under the surging sea, and she conceived, and bore Peleus and Neleus, who both grew to be strong servants of great Zeus. Peleus lived in wide dancing grounded Iolcus, rich in flocks, and Neleus in sandy Pylos. And her other sons this queen among women bore to Cretheus, Aeson and Phares, and Amphion the chariot fighter. After her I saw Antiope, Asopus's daughter, who could boast she had slept in the very arms of Zeus. And she bore 2 sons, Amphion and Zethus, who first founded the seat of 7-gated Thebes and walled it round. For without walls they could not live in wide dancing grounded Thebes, strong though they were. After her I saw Alcmene, Amphitrion's wife, who bore Heracles, the lion-hearted, bold in the fight, after she lay mingled in the arms of great Zeus, and Megara, daughter of high-spirited Creon, whom Amphitrion's son held as wife, the man whose strength never wore. And I saw the mother of Oedipus, beautiful Epicaste, who did a monstrous thing in the ignorance of her mind, marrying her own son, and he, who had killed his father, married her, and the gods made it known among men at once. Yet he ruled on over the Cadmeans in lovely Thebes, suffering pains through the gods' deadly designs, and she went down to the house of Hades, strong warden of the gate, fastening a noose to hang sheer from the high roof beam, gripped by her anguish, and left behind for him the pains past counting that a mother's furies bring to pass. And I saw Chloris, beautiful past telling, whom Neleus once married for her beauty, bringing bride gifts past number, youngest daughter of Amphion, Iasus' son, who once ruled in strength in Minian Orchomenus. She was queen of Pylos and bore him shining children, Nestor, and Chromius, and lordly Periclymenus, and after them she bore that wonder of mortals, strong Pero, whom all the neighboring men were courting, but Neleus would give her to no man who could not drive off the crook-horned, broad-browed cattle of mighty Iphicles out of Phylace, a dangerous herd. Only the blameless seer undertook to drive them, and the hard doom of a god bound him fast, the cruel bonds, and the herdsman of the wild. But when at last the months and the days were coming to fulfillment, as the year rolled round and the seasons came again, then at last mighty Iphicles set him free, when he had told out all the decrees of fate, and the design of Zeus was accomplished. And I saw Leda, wife of Tyndareus, who bore to Tyndareus 2 strong-hearted sons, Castor the horsebreaker, and Polydeuces, good with his fists. These 2 the life-giving earth holds, both of them living. Even under the earth they have honor from Zeus, and live turnabout, one day each in turn, and each in turn are dead. They have one honor equal to the gods. After her I saw Iphimedeia, wife of Alois, who could say that she had lain with Poseidon, and she bore 2 sons, but short-lived they proved, godlike Otis, and far-famed Ephialtes, the tallest men the grain-giving earth ever nourished, and far the most beautiful, after famous Orion. At 9 years old they measured 9 cubits across, and stood 9 fathoms high, to carry the din of furious war up into Olympus. Ossa they strained to pile on Olympus, and on Ossa Pelion of the shivering leaves, to make heaven scalable, and they would have accomplished it, had they reached the measure of manhood, but the son of Zeus, whom fair-haired Leto bore, destroyed them both, before the down had bloomed beneath their temples, and thickened on their chins in the flower of a young beard. And Phaedra I saw, and Procris, and beautiful Ariadne, the daughter of Minos the deadly-minded, whom Theseus once carried off from Crete, making for the hill of holy Athens, and had no joy of her. Artemis killed her first, on sea-ring Dia, on the testimony of Dionysus. And Mara I saw, and Clymene, and hateful Eriphyle, who took precious gold as the price of her own husband. But all of them I could not tell through or name. All the wives and daughters of heroes I saw there, the divine night would waste away first. No, it is the hour for sleep, whether I go down to the fast ship and the crew, or stay here. My sending rests with the gods and with you. So he spoke, and they were all hushed in silence, held fast under the spell, through the shadowy halls. And white-armed Arete began to speak among them. Phaeacians, how does this man appear to you now? His looks, his stature, the balanced mind within. And he is my guest, though each of you shares the honor. Do not hurry then to send him off, and do not cut short your gifts to one so needy, for many are the treasures lying in your halls by the gods' good will. And among them spoke the old hero Echeneus, the man elder-born beyond the other Phaeacians. Friends, not wide of the mark, not short of our own thought, are the words of our watchful-minded queen. Heed them, but on Alcinous here depend both word and deed. Then Alcinous answered him in turn and said, This word shall stand, so surely as I live and rule the o'er-loving Phaeacians. Let the guest endure it then for all his hunger for homecoming. Let him stay till tomorrow, until I make our whole gift complete. His sending shall be the men's concern, all men's and mine above all, for mine is the power in this land. Then Odysseus of the many designs answered him, Lord Alcinous, most renowned among all peoples, if you bade me stay here even for a year and readied my sending, and gave me shining gifts, even that I would choose, and it would profit me far more to come to my own dear country with a fuller hand. So should I be more honored, and more dear to all the men who saw me sailing home to Ithaca. Then Alcinous answered him in turn and said, Odysseus, looking at you, we cannot liken you to a cheat or a thief, the kind the black earth breeds in such crops scattered everywhere, men who build lies out of what no eye could ever test. There is a shape upon your words, and a noble mind within them, and you have told your tale with knowledge, like a singer, the grim sorrows of all the Argives, and your own. But come, tell me this, and tell it to me truly. Did you see any of your godlike companions who went to Ilium with you, and met their doom there? This night is long, marvelously long. It is not yet time to sleep in the hall. Tell me the deeds of wonder. I could hold out until the shining dawn if only you could bear here in the hall to tell me your sorrows." Then Odysseus of the many designs answered him, "Lord Alcinous, most renowned among all peoples, there is an hour for many tales, and an hour for sleep. But if you long to listen still, I would not grudge you the telling of things more pitiful still, the sorrows of my companions who perished afterward. Battle cry, and its groaning only to die on the homeward way by an evil woman's will. Now, when holy Persephone had scattered the women's souls this way and that, there came the soul of Agamemnon, Atreus' son, grieving, and around him others were gathered, all who died with him in the house of Aegisthus, and met their doom. He knew me at once, when he had drunk the dark blood, and he wept, shrill and loud, letting the big tears fall, stretching his hands toward me, straining to reach me, but there was no strength grounded in him now, no force, such as once filled his supple limbs. I wept to see him, and my heart pitied him, and lifting my voice I spoke winged words to him. "Most glorious son of Atreus, Agamemnon, lord of men, what doom of death, that lays men low, mastered you? Did Poseidon master you in your ships, rousing the wretched blast of hard winds? Or did hostile men cut you down on dry land as you carved away their cattle and their fine flocks of sheep, or fought them for their city and their women?" So I spoke, and he answered me at once, "Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices, Poseidon did not master me in my ships, rousing the wretched blast of hard winds, and hostile men did not cut me down on dry land. Aegisthus built my death and my doom, and killed me, with my cursed wife, after calling me to his house and feasting me, as a man cuts down an ox at the manger. So I died the most pitiable of deaths, and around me my other companions were killed without pause, like white-tusked swine slaughtered in the house of a rich and powerful man for a wedding, a club feast, or a swelling banquet. You have stood in the killing of many men before now, cut down singly, or in the crush of battle, but you would have grieved at heart above all to see that sight, how around the wine bowl and the loaded tables we lay in the hall, and the whole floor steamed with blood. And the most pitiful voice I heard was Priam's daughters, Cassandra's, whom Clytemnestra of the crooked counsels killed over my body, and I, dying, tried to raise my hands and beat them down on the sword blade, and she, the bitch-faced, turned her back. She could not bring herself, though I was going down to Hades, to draw my eyelids shut with her hands, or close my mouth. So true it is that nothing is more dread, more dog-shameless, than a woman who can set her mind on deeds like these. The way that woman plotted her unspeakable work, building the murder of her own wedded husband. And I had thought to come home welcome to my children and my slaves, but she, that mistress of atrocity, has poured out shame on her own head, and on all women after her, the female kind, yes, even on the doer of good." So he spoke, and I answered him and said, "Ah, gods, how terribly has Zeus of the wide voice hated the seed of Atreus from the beginning, and through the designs of women, for Helen's sake we died in our thousands. And for you Clytemnestra set her snare while you were far away." So I spoke, and he answered me at once, "Then never be gentle, you too, even to your own wife. Do not tell out to her the whole word that you know. Say part and let part stay hidden. But not for you, Odysseus, will murder come from a wife. Too understanding she is, too watchful the mind in her breast, the daughter of Icarius, watchful-minded Penelope. A young bride we left her when we went to the war, and a boy was at her breast, an infant, who now I suppose sits numbered among men, the fortunate one. His dear father will see him coming home, and he will embrace his father. That is the right way of things. But my wife did not let me fill even my eyes with my own son. She killed me before that, killed the man himself. And I will tell you another thing, lay it up in your heart, in secret, not in the open. Bring your ship into your own dear country. For there is no trusting women any more. But come, tell me this, and tell it to me truly. Do you hear whether my son is still alive, somewhere in Orchomenus perhaps, or in sandy Pylos, or with Menelaus in wide Sparta? For noble Orestes has not yet died on the earth." So he spoke, and I answered him and said, "Son of Atreus, why ask me this? I know nothing whether he lives or is dead. It is evil to speak words empty as wind." So the two of us stood, trading grim words, grieving, letting the big tears fall. And there came the soul of Achilles, Peleus' son, and of Patroclus, and of blameless Antilochus, and of Ajax, who was first in beauty and in body of all the Danaans, after the blameless son of Peleus. And the soul of swift-footed Aeacides knew me, and morning he spoke winged words to me. Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices, reckless man, what deed will your mind plot now, still greater? How did you dare come down to Hades, where the dead live without wits, the phantoms of worn-out mortals? So he spoke, and I answered him and said, Achilles, son of Peleus, far the mightiest of the Achaeans, I came for Tiresias, out of need, in hope he might tell some plan for reaching rugged Ithaca. For not yet have I come near Achaea, not yet set foot on my own land, evil is with me always. But you, Achilles, no man before you was more blessed, and none will be after. Living, we Argives honored you like the gods, and now you rule in strength among the dead. Here where you are, do not grieve at dying then, Achilles. So I spoke, and he answered me at once. Do not talk death over sweetly to me, shining Odysseus. I would rather be bound to the ploughland, hired out to another, some man without a land lot, without much living, than be king over all the wasted dead. Enough, tell me word of that proud son of mine. Did he follow to the war, to be a champion, or did he not? And tell me of blameless Peleus if you have heard. Does he still hold his honor among the Myrmidon crowds, or do they slight him now through Hellas and Phthia, because old age has hold of him, hand and foot? For I am no longer his defender under the rays of the sun, no longer the man I was, when in wide Troy I cut down the best of their host, in the Argives' defense. Could I come that man even for an hour to my father's house, I would make my fury and my unconquerable hands a horror to those who do him violence, and shut him from his honor. So he spoke, and I answered him, and said, Of blameless Peleus I have heard nothing, but of your own dear son, Neoptolemus, I will tell you the whole truth, as you ask. I myself carried him in my trim hollow ship out of Scyros to join the strong grieved Achaeans, and whenever we framed our counsels around the city of Troy, he was always first to speak, and his words never missed. Godlike Nestor and I alone outdid him. And whenever we fought on the Trojan plain with the bronze, he never lingered back in the mass of men or the brush, but ran far out in front, yielding his fury to no one, and he cut down many men in the terrible fighting. All of them I could not tell through or name, all the host he killed in the Argives' defense. But such a man was the son of Telephus he brought down with the bronze, the hero Eurypylus. And around him his Cetian companions and crowds were slain, for the sake of a woman's gifts. He was the handsomest man I ever saw, after noble Memnon. And when we climbed down into the horse Epeius built, we, the best of the Argives, and it all lay upon me to throw open our close-packed ambush or to shut it. Then the other leaders and counselors of the Danaans kept wiping tears away, and each man's leg shook under him. But him, never once did my eyes see his beautiful skin go pale, or catch him wiping a tear from his cheeks. No, he begged me over and over to let him out of the horse, and kept fingering his sword hilt, and his spear heavy with bronze, with evil in his heart for the Trojans. And when we had sacked the steep city of Priam, he boarded his ship with his share and a fine prize of honor, never touched by a thrown spear, never gashed in the close work, the way it happens so often in war. For Ares rages blind and makes no distinctions. So I spoke, and the soul of swift-footed Aeacides went away with long strides across the meadow of Asphodel, rejoicing that I had said his son was preeminent. And the other souls of the dead who are gone stood grieving, and each asked after what was dear to it. Alone of them all, the soul of Ajax, Telamon's son, stood apart, still raging over the victory I won against him, pleading my case by the ships, for the arms of Achilles. His honored mother set the prize, and the sons of the Trojans judged it, and Pallas Athena. Would to God I had never won a contest like that one. Such a head the earth closed over for those arms' sake. Ajax, who in beauty and in every deed of war stood first of all the Danaans, after the blameless son of Peleus. Him I addressed with honeyed words. Ajax, son of blameless Telamon, could you not then, even in death, forget your anger at me for those cursed arms? The gods made them a scourge for the Argives. Such a tower fell when you fell. For you the Achaeans grieve without ceasing, as for the very head of Achilles, Peleus' son. And no one else bears the blame, but Zeus. He hated the army of the Danaan spearmen with a terrible hatred, and laid your doom on you. Come here, Lord, come hear our word, our speech. Master your fury, break that proud heart down. So I spoke, he answered me nothing. He went his way after the other souls, into the Erebus of the dead who are gone. There, even so, for all his anger, He might yet have spoken to me, or I to him, but the heart in my breast wished to see the souls of the other dead. There I saw Minos, the shining son of Zeus, holding a golden scepter, delivering law among the dead. He seated, and around him the dead pleading their cases before the Lord, sitting and standing through the wide-gated house of Hades. And after him I marked out huge Orion herding the wild beasts together across the meadow of Asphodel, the very beasts he had killed on the lonely mountains, a club in his hands all bronze, forever unbroken. And I saw Tydeus, the son of glorious Earth, laid out on the ground. Over 9 roods he sprawled, and 2 vultures sitting either side tore at his liver, plunging into the caul, and his hands could not beat them off, for he had assaulted Leto, the honored consort of Zeus, as she walked toward Pytho through Panopeus of the lovely dancing grounds. And Tantalus too I saw, holding his hard agonies, standing in a pool that lapped against his chin, and he strained with thirst, and could not reach a drop to drink. As often as the old man stooped, in a fury to drink, so often the water was swallowed away and gone, and around his feet the black earth showed, parched dry by a god. And trees and tall leaf poured their fruit above his head, pears and pomegranates and apple trees bright with fruit, sweet figs and olives in full flourish, and whenever the old man reached out to close his hands on them, the wind would toss them away toward the shadowing clouds. And Sisyphus too I saw, holding his hard agonies, wrestling a monstrous stone with both his arms, bracing himself, straining with hands and feet. He would shove the stone uphill toward the crest, but each time, just as he was about to heave it over the top, the sheer weight wheeled it round, and down to the plain again rolled the shameless stone, and he would strain again and shove, the sweat streaming off his limbs, and the dust rising off his head. And after him I marked the strength of Heracles, his phantom, for the man himself among the deathless gods delights in the feasting, with fair-ankled Hebe for his wife, the child of great Zeus and of Hera of the golden sandals. Around that phantom rose a clamor of the dead, like birds scattering in panic every way, and he like Black Night, the bow bare in his hand, an arrow on the string, glared terribly about him, forever like a man on the point of shooting, and terrible was the baldric crossing his chest, the sword belt all of gold, where deeds of wonder had been worked, bears and wild boars, and lions with fire in their eyes, and combats and battles, and murders and the killings of men. May the man who designed that belt design nothing further, whoever took such work into his craft. And he in his turn knew me, the moment his eyes fell on me, and mourning he spoke winged words to me. Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices, poor man, so you too are dragging out an evil doom such as I bore beneath the rays of the sun? I was a son of Zeus, of Kronos' line, and my misery had no end, for I was bound in service to a man far worse than I, who laid hard labors on me, and once he sent me here, to fetch the hound. No other labor, he reckoned, could be mightier than that one. I carried the hound up and out of Hades, and Hermes saw me on my way, and gray-eyed Athena. So speaking, he went back into the house of Hades, but I stayed rooted there, in hope some other might yet come of the hero men who died in the time before. And now I would have seen still earlier men, the ones I longed for, Theseus and Pirithous, glorious children of the gods. But first the tribes of the dead came gathering, 1,000 on 1,000, with a sound that had no earthly likeness. And the pale terror took me that queenly Persephone might send out of Hades the Gorgon head of the dread monster against me. Straight to the ship I went, and ordered my companions to board in their turn and loose the stern cables, and they came aboard at once and took their places at the oarlocks. And the wave of the current bore her down the river of ocean, the rowing first, and afterward a beautiful following wind,